There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming along today from all over the world and for your generous offer to volunteer for our department here to read scholarship applications. So we're so excited to have a really strong team of reviewers and really appreciate the dedication it took to come along today. So my name is Bryn Lemon. I'm the Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement and Scholarships on our team here at Goleta. And I'll have my colleague Elizabeth introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Bryn. So my name is Elizabeth Holtz, and I am the newest member of the UCEAP alumni team. My title is the Scholarship and Alumni Engagement Coordinator, and I'm actually a two-time UCEAP alumna, so I studied abroad in both London, England, and Córdoba, Spain. And I just loved it so much that I just needed to stay involved with UCEAP, and that's why I'm here today. So as Bryn said, thank you so much, all of you, for joining us and for volunteering with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'd love to know who's come along today. I recognize some of you in the audience and some of you, I think we've only corresponded via email. So I would love to hear in the chat or if you just want to unmute yourself, if this is your first time reviewing, if you've reviewed with us a few times and you're coming in for a refresher of what's changed. So feel free to put it in the chat. Tell us that.
I am Susan Patton, and I was in the Paris Poe program in 1972 and 1973, ages ago. And I've never done the scholarship reviews before, so this is the first time I'm joining in.
Fantastic. Thanks, Susan. We're excited to have her on our team here. And Marlon as well. Thanks so much for letting us know it's your first time reviewing. All right. Anyone else want to share?
This is Debbie Doucet. I'm a wreck. I just came back from vacation, so I'm not turning my video on. But I participated I was the first group to go to India in 1984. And I've been working with the scholarship review team for about 5 years now, I think.
Thanks so much, Debbie. It's great to have you here. Thanks for coming along for this training. I loved reading your quote about reviewing, so thank you for that. That was lovely. Mabel has started reviewing with us in 2017, and the pandemic stopped the program, and now she's back. And Monica from UC Sanders and UK London 2019 has done several review cycles, but wants to get on our new process. So thanks everyone for coming and for participating. So we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll have Elizabeth read out some testimonials.
Great. So this is a great way to start, everyone. So one of the best parts, I think, of my position is really getting to engage with scholarship recipients when they return. And part of that process is just hearing all about their experience. And so we thought it would be really great to share some of that with you. And so here we have a testimonial from Catherine McGraw, who studied in the Netherlands. And I'm going to read it out loud, and you're welcome to just follow along. But so Catherine wrote, "I have built a life in Utrecht, and more importantly, a home here. Utrecht made me realize just how much I don't know about the world and how much more of the world I want to explore. Studying abroad has positively influenced my goals. While taking law classes here, it has affirmed my belief that law school is the right direction for me. Having the opportunity to take foundational law classes, criminology courses, and classes on human rights or gender violations have prepared me for law school. Utrecht has also shown me how much I like to discover new things. During my gap year between undergrad and law school, I plan on teaching English in Asia. I have already gotten a job offer from a school at Vietnam and am interviewing for more positions this week. This study abroad trip has profoundly impacted my life, and I appreciate the generous scholarships that made my dreams possible."
Wow.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So one of the most exciting aspects of volunteering as a reader is getting to hear all the hopes and dreams of our students that are on their way abroad. And what we love is our position in being able to hear what they actually got up to and what they completed. So we always try to share out a little bit of feedback following the cycle of what students ended up doing, but it's nice to be able to share photos and testimonials with you. So whether you've reviewed with us before or are a first-time reviewer, we're just going to go over a really quick info on how to get signed in. So I'll send a PDF out tomorrow to all of our reviewers with instructions and links to sign in. But briefly, if you've never reviewed with us, there will be a sign-up option on our website. And again, the link will be sent tomorrow. Or if you have reviewed with us, you just click sign in. Signing in and you were previously a student with us or have worked as staff, perhaps, and you want to click over here to the references and reviewers tab, because that will take you from your applicant portal as a student. And then you'll go ahead and put in your information there to get signed in. And sorry, my cat wants to partake in our session today. Hey, come on, well, just trying to click on my laptop. Okay, so you'll go ahead and sign up. And, keep in mind that this sign up is separate from any kind of like student account you used to have with us. And if you're not getting your confirmation email to a UC email address, please feel free to either use a personal email address, because sometimes our systems block emails from this account, which is kind of silly, but try either a personal email address or reach out to us. We're happy to send you the confirmation code internally. So once you're signed in, you should see a little screen here that has your reviews that are assigned to you that need to be completed. So you'll see here it says 0 out of 1. Yours would probably say something between 8 and 15. And it'll have the name of the scholarship over there, as well as the dates that we need to begin them and finalize them. And we will down here, and once you're clicked on that completed section there, you'll get over to the screen where you can click on begin. It says finish here because I've already begun the application, but you'll click on the orange button that says begin. And something to note, which may have changed since some of you started reviewing a few years ago, if you've taken a break from reviewing or if this is your first time. Once you start an application in the system, if you click on begin and you open it, you do need to offer a score to the application in order to save your progress. So if you simply read the application and then move on to the next one, unfortunately, the way that the system works is that it auto assigns applications to our reviewers. And so what the system does is it will shuffle reviews to people who are active in the system. So if, for example, you plan on starting your applications a little later and it doesn't view a lot of action in your profile, it might shuffle things out, which is so frustrating for those who maybe are working on a scrap piece of paper and then they lose their applications. So put a score of some kind in to the system. You can always go back and edit the score. So up at the deadline of the submission date, you can just edit that score. And so just go ahead and hit finalize or submit, and it will take it. Okay, so once you are actually into the system, there are different ways of viewing the portal. So you can either do a side-by-side view, which is what we're demonstrating here, or you can have it as just one page, and you just click back and forth between the actual reviewer criteria here on the right and the student application on the left. So all of our applications are anonymized in order to assure a fair and equitable process across the board, that we eliminate any kind of bias in terms of reviewing. So we ensure that all the applications are anonymized. We do list their campus, the major, and the program that they've selected, as well as their country. So you have all those identifying characteristics in the system. Those of you who have reviewed with us before will notice on the right-hand side that we have updated our reviewing criteria here. So we'll get into the details of that in a moment. But here you'll see the, I don't know, Elizabeth, can you see my mouse as I move it around? Yeah.
Yes, I can see it.
So down here under academic merit, you'll just click that open and you can go give that student a score. And for those of you who've reviewed with us before, we've changed that score from 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 to allow for a little bit more subjectivity with grading, because we found that it feels like quite a big leap to go from maybe 2 to 3, as opposed to, you know, maybe a little nuance within a grading scale. So rating applications, as we mentioned, there are 5 different categories here. So those include academic merit, academic and career objectives aligning with the program, specific opportunities while abroad, student characteristics and their impact on the choice to study abroad, and overall quality of application. So overall quality of application is our newest category, and we'll break down what each of those mean in a moment. But on the right-hand side here, you'll see our statement of purpose. And again, if you reviewed with us in the past, the statement of purpose may have been updated since you last read with us. So I'll just read it out loud quickly. It's 750 words now. It used to be 500 words. So it has increased in word count. And that's primarily because our applications are getting more competitive, and we decided that we wanted to hear more from our students and make their applications a little bit more personal. In previous years, I think we've placed more in academic preparation and merit, and a little bit less on the personality of the student. And that's why we've created this more objective or subjective category of the overall quality of application, so that you can basically, even if a student isn't necessarily going abroad for academic purposes, like let's say they have more purpose for going abroad outside their major, you have more flexibility with how you're going to grade them. So our statement of purpose is the following: what sparked your interest in studying abroad? How will your program abroad relate to your academic, career, and personal goals? What academic preparation have you done for your program? If you're a student with financial need, please discuss how this has impacted your decision to study abroad. What do you hope to experience while abroad? How do you anticipate you'll embrace challenges abroad? And how do you hope to grow personally while abroad? Finally, if you are a student who identifies with a cohort that is traditionally underrepresented on study abroad programs, please discuss how this has impacted your decision to study abroad. So it's quite a comprehensive statement of purpose. We are planning to reassess it again in December and see if there are things we want to eliminate from it. But we are at the moment moving forward with that statement of purpose, and it is, as I mentioned, comprehensive, but very, I think, helpful in terms of stimulating students to share their personal stories with us. Elizabeth, you right, because I'm going to help someone get into our meeting.
I'm sorry, Bryn, can you say that again? You lagged.
I'll have you review this slide because I'm going to help one of our alumni get into our meeting.
Okay, got it. Alrighty, everyone. So as Bryn said, now we're going to kind of dig into the review criteria a little bit more. So this is kind of a list, and again, this meeting is recorded, and we'll also send out a guide with this information. But essentially, for our first category, it's academic merit, and that is really talking about the academic preparation for a chosen program. And so this can include things like, you know, if a student is studying a particular language, maybe they've taken several courses relating to it. This could include their GPA, courses that they've taken relating to the host country's history, culture, areas of special study. And again, so this is something that's again part of why we increased this rating from 1 to 10, is because ultimately it gives a little more room for you to really assess how much academic merit you think may be there. Students are not required to provide a transcript, so that's something that won't be in the application. However, they are asked to identify their academic preparation in their statement of purpose. So again, reading through that statement of purpose is going to be the most informative part of a student's application, and 1 being low academic merit and 10 being high. So again, use your best judgment to make a score there. The next review criteria that we will be looking at is academic and career objectives aligned with the program. And that specifically is pretty straightforward in how do their objectives academically and career-wise relate to this specific program they've chosen. So good examples of something like that would be doing marine biology research at the University of Queensland in Australia, or maybe if they're interested in working with Spanish-speaking populations, studying Spanish at the University of Córdoba in Spain. Or if they're interested in working in some type of public policy, doing the Scottish Parliament internship program. So again, this is where you're going to have to look in the statement of purpose to find this information, and they must make this connection clear. So if they, you know, refer to it lightly but don't really emphasize it, this is something that, again, in that score, you know, you can really make that assessment based on how much they connect kind of their academic and career preparation or objective with the program. The third review criteria is going to be specific opportunities while abroad. So this can be if they mention particular courses, internships, language immersion again, or other opportunities that are only available on study abroad. And so examples we provided are students connecting to their family heritage, or maybe a student looking to develop a minor in art while they're in Florence. An important note here is that these opportunities can be personal, academic, or career focused. So there really is a range there, but what we want to know is, you know, why this program, why study abroad, and, you know, how impactful would that opportunity be?
Thanks, Elizabeth. That's great. I get emails sometimes from alumni in the process of reviewing who are asking, hey, so I can make these leaps of assumption. You know, I can see that this student is studying abroad in Madrid and they want to become a doctor. I can assume that perhaps they, you know, want to learn Spanish for that purpose. But if it's laid out within the best job of explaining that. So we can be really generous in our scoring, but it's really important to ensure that students know that they develop the skills of expressing things within essays, because this is all part of their kind of academic preparation, as well as understanding how to form a strong essay and to articulate themselves clearly. So even if you can make the connection, if the student hasn't made it themselves, then I wouldn't rate them as highly as one who has. We have a question in the chat. Juliana asks, how many reviewers are reviewing each application? That's a great question, Juliana. So we ensure that each application is read 3 times. So an aggregate score is taken from all 3 of those ratings. So any student's application, whether you, so it's not necessarily you making an objective decision, which is nice. So if you don't give them the strongest score, you don't have to necessarily feel that they're inherently not going to get scholarship. Which is always takes a little bit of the pressure off, but that we do that also to ensure that there's not too much bias, or each reviewer is unique in how they score things as well. So some are more generous and some are more conservative with their scores. So we try to ensure that we get at least 3 eyes on each application. Thanks. Someone else. Can you discuss the difference between career and academic objectives and specific opportunities? Is it just the specificity / specific courses? Good question. So with career objectives and academics, we really want to have that be focused on, let's say, grad school or the progression of their degree. So let's say they want double major, but they don't really have the opportunity to do so at their home campus, and that's an academic objective, or if it's really tied to their career. I think specific opportunities, I know it's kind of a broad category. It's a little bit subjective as well. It's basically to ensure that students who may not necessarily be going abroad for a like academic or career oriented reason aren't necessarily penalized, because there are lots of different reasons that students may choose to study abroad. Let's say they want to connect with their family culture that they actually haven't had a lot of access to in the United States, or they're really passionate about dance, but it really doesn't have much to do with their career or academic trajectory. It's just a passion project for them. It's nice to be able to award them additional points in a category that is a little bit more subjective in that regard. So particularly with internships or a research project that they wouldn't be able to do at home, they may align again with their academic objectives. They are also specific opportunities while abroad. So again, it's all a very subjective process, and it's kind of, as you get into the flow of reading, I think that you'll pick up on the nuance of those things. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. I'm clarify further if you have any other questions. Fantastic. Okay, so student characteristics and impact on the choice to study abroad. So students identify as a member of an underrepresented cohort. So we have a lot of students that do study abroad that come from very similar backgrounds, and we want everyone to study abroad that possibly can, but there are certainly far broader groups of students that don't feel as welcome to study abroad, or it's more challenging for them to get to that point. They might not see it as an option in their career path or their academic trajectory. And so we encourage students that come from those backgrounds to study abroad with us. Our awards are both need and merit-based. So we want to ensure that we are definitely promoting the experience of students who may not necessarily see this as an opportunity outside of their general studies. So that can include students with financial need, transfer students who are on shorter academic path, veterans and first generation college students, students with programs where the majority of classes are taught in a language other than English. So some of our alumni from back in the day may associate our programs with all language-based study, but actually it's a far rarer path at this point to do either year-long study or study that is language-based. And so we always want to ensure that those students are encouraged to study abroad with us. And any other characteristics that you might encounter, being a student parent or additional responsibilities, whatever that may entail. Got a question here from Debbie that says, sometimes applicants assume that the reader is familiar with their country program and they don't connect the dots with what they want to study at a specific location. Should we rate against that, or should we look up the program for clarity? That's a great question, Debbie. Did someone say something?
No, it's fine.
Okay. That's a great question. I would say that you shouldn't have to look up anything outside of the student's application. So the onus is on them to explain the action point. And so that's so generous of you to offer to look it up, but I would say it's really up to the student to make that connection. And you will have applications from students who will, and I think obvious as you go through. And those that don't, unfortunately, it is pretty clearly laid out in the statement of purpose. It needs to be explicit to include directions to students saying, like, make those connections, make those leaps. And we do a lot of trainings encouraging them to. So I would say use your best judgment, but generally we want that student to make the connection themselves. Thanks for your question, though. It's a great one. And our newest of applications. So added this in here as actually a component of our internship award application processes that I witnessed when I was helping out with that last year, and thought it would be a really great addition to scoring here. So this is to consider the candidate and the whole application they've submitted. So individual categories may not be as strong, but they may still stand out to you as a really remarkable student. So this is kind of where you can give them extra points for writing a really strong statement of purpose, or let's say their GPA was a little bit lower, but so their academic merit may not be as high, but you feel like they've explained why that may be the case. Like, let's say they changed majors or whatever it may be, and you want to award them a little bit of extra points, and this is a category to do so. Okay. So let's move on to assignments now. So this is we'll assign applications randomly. Unfortunately, I wish that I could go in and manually assign everyone. Unfortunately, it takes days to do that. And I did do it one cycle and it was pretty impossible. It's also really challenging to ensure that alumni aren't reading the same applications. So as I mentioned, we have 3 eyes on every application. It's hard to ensure that we don't have the same 3 eyes on all different applications if we're doing it manually, whereas if the system does it, it'll ensure that they are randomly distributed. So that does mean, of course, as we mentioned, that the applications do shuffle, but you will receive an automated email from the system when you log into the reviewer portal and begin your reviews, and it will remind you that you have reviewed in your portal at 3 in the morning for absolutely no reason. So look out for that fun email. Hopefully it's muted. Monica asks, how many scholarships are given out and how many applicants do you typically get? Great question. So historically, our department received funding from the University of California's Office of the President, and we had about $1 million to give out in scholarships each year. That has unfortunately not continued through COVID. So we are self-funded now as a department. So in global scholarship, out about a year. We also have funding from Linda Duttenhaver, who provides $200,000 each year to our year-long programs. And we also have kind of external donor funding, and it all equates to about 700,000 or so. So it really kind of varies year to year how much we can give out. But I would say term to term, we give between 50 and 200 scholarships to students. On the global scholarship side of things, we will also give out maybe 40 additional year-long scholarships and a variety of other funding sources, including our Chris Borton Memorial Scholarship. I would say our acceptance rate it sits between about 17 and 22%, depending on the term. So about 17% of students who apply during a busy term, and the busy terms are typically fall and summer, will get awarded, and spring would be closer to 20 to 22. We wish we could give out more, but at the moment, that's what we're working with. So good question. Thank you for that. And you can access the review system from any computer at any time during the review period. So your scores will be held internally through your account, so you don't need to be on the same computer. And your review scores must be submitted via the online system by below, so 11:59 p.m. October 15th this cycle. If you need an extension, just email me and let me know. We'll probably be able to accommodate it, but typically we try to get all the reviews in by that date, just so that we can get on with our additional processes of selecting our named awardees and everything from that point onward. Also, all of these photos are from students on our programs, and I think this one on the left here is one of the most beautiful ones we've ever been submitted. I just absolutely love it. It was in South Korea, right, Elizabeth? Is that the one? Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So if you have additional questions, please let me know. I think we went over most of the broader changes our scholarship process. We did get some feedback from alumni about some of the statement of purpose questions, and I'd love if you guys have feedback, if you want to email it to us. I think we're planning on cutting it down a little bit in the next year, making it a little bit more refined, or even breaking up the statement of purpose into multiple questions, but that's all to come, and we'll explain that as the cycle progresses. But if you have any questions at the moment, we're happy to take them. Also, let us know if you get any applications from students who aren't on a UCEAP program. It happens every now and then that a student from abroad just decides to apply for our awards, and we need to remove them from the system. And we're concerned about the content of any application. So if a student mentions like a mental health diagnoses that you're worried may develop further during their time abroad or whatever it may be, let us know. And that way we can just flag it up to the programs team to make sure that student's being taken care of. Also, if you feel like you can't complete your reviews, just let us know and make sure that those are reassigned. So thanks so much. And Juliana has asked a question, which is, will there be section for additional notes? Is that important for us to fill out? Great question, Juliana. So there is an option to add commentary on your application. It's not vital. So I would say you really only have to do it if you feel that there's a concern with that student, or if you really want to flag them as a really great student, then feel welcome to add commentary or feedback. Basically, we'll use that commentary when we're going through to select our named awardees, i.e. the students who are in the top 10%. Or if a student actually is rejected for their scholarship and asks us for feedback, sometimes it's really helpful for us to have your notes in the system so that we can refer to a multitude of opinions on the student's application as opposed to just our own feedback on it. Pooja asks, will we be sent a link to create an account if it's our first time reviewing? Yeah, I'll send out a link tomorrow, all of the different information for our alumni, and it'll include links to review, links to sign up, and the PDF that we'll send out following this will have instructions on getting registered for the first time. So great question.
Sounds good.
And
I have a question.
oh yeah, please.
Sorry, I have a question. Following up with that, is that I try to like create an account, but then and log in, but somehow they say I already have an existing account, and like because I tried to like log in too many times, they locked my account. So I'm not sure what I should do.
That's totally fine. Just I'll write down your name and I'll get you the sign out here from their meeting. I'll send you the link directly to your email, get you registered. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. If you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat or say them out loud. But I think in the meantime, Elizabeth, do you want to read our final testimonial so that we shortly?
I'd love to. So again, just sharing another testimonial from another student, another scholarship recipient. This one is from Victoria Carton, who studied in Ireland. And Victoria wrote, when I initially wrote my application, I assumed that being a storyteller was only related to fiction that you come up with. But it is so much more multifaceted. I have broadened my academic horizons in this last year through courses that wouldn't be offered at an American university. Classes that take you through Irish warfare in the 20th century based on literature in each decade and understanding the after effects of colonialism through firsthand experiences. Or they take you through Georgian Dublin and Jonathan Swift's contemporaries. But being a storyteller also comes with gaining insight into all different corners of life and being able to live in a part of the world that's different from your own. After this year I have spent abroad, I can say that I've become more of a storyteller because I have experiences that I can tell others about rather than simply addressing my academics. This scholarship allowed me to push my own boundaries and see myself in a new light. I know now what I am capable of achieving. I am so proud of myself for what I have done this last year, and it was all possible due entirely to the generosity of this scholarship. And as you see on the screen, she's an English major, so just a very applicable, I think, experience to kind of her major and her goals in the future. And again, as Bryn said, these are all photos that the students submit as part of their scholarship report, so a great just example of her time there.
And I actually took
Great.
in the bottom when we were abroad in Ireland that Susan came along on. So I got to meet Victoria, and she was a very sweet student. So it's lovely to see her journey at the end here. One final question from Mabel, which is just curious, is the system shuffling of applications an intentional feature? In that case, why? Or is it something that will be improved? Great question, Mabel. I've talked to the support about how to turn that off. They don't have a functionality to turn it off. It is intentional, it seems. Basically, it's so that if someone isn't active in the system, it will make sure that that application gets read. So it's trying to shuffle applications into the portal of reviewers who are active, which means that sometimes you'll get an extra application towards the end of the cycle if you have been more active in the system and have completed your reviews. So I'm not really sure why it's the case. I wish that it wasn't, and perhaps in years to come it will be turned off. I'm attending a conference in December that is, in October in Denver, that is through this site, like Blackbaud. So maybe I'll ask them about if they're planning to remove that functionality at any point, but for the moment, it's what we're working with. So if there are no other questions, thank you so much for attending, everyone. It was really lovely to meet you virtually, whether just through chat or on video. And so grateful for the time you dedicate to these applications. We quite literally could not do it without you. We do not have manpower. We are a department of 3, and we get hundreds of applications each year. We have 678 applications to assign this term. And so it is so vital that we have your help and support. So thank you so much for your generosity and for being involved with all of our programs. So we look forward to working with you this cycle. And if you have any further questions, you know how to contact us. We sent out some emails, and you'll get a contact tomorrow with further details about the cycle. So thanks for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you. Great to see everybody.
You too.